Well, hi, hello, and welcome to a new edition of Homemade TV's Friday show. It's Friday the 10th, my goodness, of July, and it doesn't feel like summer to me. I don't know about you, because we've been messing about for so long with COVID-19 that we don't know whether we're coming and going. My name is Chris Gosling, and I'm here with you this morning to just trot through a few news items to see where we end up. First things first, we're going to start a new thing today. There's a couple of shout outs to give to people. First shout out to Jack Feely, who's a Shearing's holiday fan. And he wrote me a quick note about Shearing's getting back in business. And I couldn't agree more. It is good news, because otherwise there's going to be a shortfall in holidays for people who want to travel in the UK. Can't be having that. So let's get those coach drivers back to work. Let's get the hotels full again. Well done, Jack. Get out there. The other person I wanted to mention, or first of the other people I wanted to mention, is Kevin Hicks, who dropped me a note onto yesterday's note about the BBC license fee spread, I guess you'd call it, as it spreads away from the working population up to the over 75s. Over 75s, as you may know, have never paid BBC TV license fee since I think it was around 2010. And we had a promise from the government that we never would. But unfortunately, like so many promises made by various governments, they couldn't keep those. Kevin said to me after the show, 14 million Tory voters have no acceptable national TV or radio broadcast. Is that okay? Well, I don't know, Kevin. I'd like to know more about your viewpoint. What about telling me in a comment, or an additional comment, or an email? I do need to tell you as well that we've changed our email address on the show. We've got a bit, don't know what you'd say really, whether we've got a bit kind of busier. But what we've got is a new email address. You can drop me a note at chris@homemadetv.co.uk, and I will respond to you as soon as I am humanly able. So that will be on the title at the end of the show as well. But make a mental note, Homemade TV, chris@homemadetv.co.uk, and I'll be delighted to hear from you. Okay, what else have we got? Well, quite a lot as it happens. And we're going to start out with, I think this is a really nice, really interesting and beneficial, community beneficial story, I think you might say, that I'd really like to shout out to these people about. And it's one of those things, you can't find it, and now here it is. Okay, this is from Southwark in South London. This is the Southwark Pensioners Action Group having a demo about the NHS, really. And their byline on this is, our NHS deserves more than a clap on its 72nd birthday. And do you know, I think they're right. We've got 100,000 empty jobs. We've got beds that are actually, or bed counts that are below what is really safe levels. And it also looks as if the NHS will continue to be underfunded, will continue to be privatised and fragmented by the present government, as has been done by previous governments. It's not really an unusual, big or difficult thing, I have to say. I'm very much in favour of the action of Southwark Pensioners Action Group in having a crack at these people, because it would be grand if someone were to take some notice of them. But at least the local paper is, and hey, we are as well. Okay, moving on, let's go. Let's get there we go, myself back in gear. And next on our list is the BBC licence fee. Do you know, this is one that we're going to keep thinking about, I think, for, well, forever and a day. The BBC themselves covered it with an interesting story, which I think, well, I don't know how real this story is from the BBC point of view. They are saying, well, we're going ahead with license fee charges for the over 75s. They delayed it for 2 months, but now they've bounced it back in again, and effective of the 1st of August, if you're over 75, you will be paying, I'm afraid, a BBC licence fee of 157.50 pence per annum. That's a lot of money in reality, isn't it? It's quite a lot of money. It's £3 a week, it's 12 quid a month. The reality is, for double that, you can get kind of all of Sky TV, and that includes loads of free channels, some paid for channels, and all sorts. I really am not convinced about the value for money these days of the mighty BBC, because if we look at how they spend our dosh, it's an interesting one. When we look at how they spend our dosh, the reality is about half of what they charge us is on broadcast TV, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, and 4 broadcast channels. And in reality, well, we watch quite a lot of BBC One and BBC Two, I guess. I guess you do. We watch a bit of BBC Four, and really the rest of the BBC's output doesn't do much for us. So as pensioners, is this worth our money? And as ordinary citizens liable to pay 157 quid, is it worth our money? I don't know. What do you think? I'd love to know what you think about the mighty BBC. Should it be privatised? Should it be split up? You tell me what you think. Ordinary, can I say that? I don't know. As ordinary people paying for TV in the UK, is it worth 157 quid a year, 12 odd quid a month? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think we're being stitched up a bit by this one. So there you have it. I think the BBC could do a much better thing if they actually made themselves effectively a private business, started to take advertising, and then they'll actually find out how popular they really are. Good one, isn't it? Okay. Now, benefits. I wanted to talk about benefits like pension credit and savings credit that are schemes from Her Majesty's government designed really to help pensioners, specifically pensioners who are fairly hard up. And we have to admit there are lots of them. We know that lots of pensioners are in a very difficult financial situation. There are about, I guess there's about 400,000, as I understand it, pensioners who actually already claim pension credit. But the figures that are found out there indicate that, in fact, rather a lot more than that actually needs some help. The understanding I have looking at the figures from the government is it's anything up to possibly another million who should be getting pension credit and are not. There's also another form of pension credit called savings credit, and I don't know what the figures are on that, but I will find out. What we're going to do with this one, because I find this a really worrying case, we're going to have a go at this next week. We're going to look at it on Wednesday. We'll do a special, and we'll present you with how the pensions credit and the savings credit schemes actually work, and see if we can get a bit more background on them and see whether they have any benefits to us. See whether you can claim, and we'll work out what the claiming procedure is. I'm not that convinced it's that pensioner friendly. We will have a look and see what we find. Okay, let's move on now. What do we got next? Let me just, my fingers have gone all numb and silly, but there you go. Okay. So what we've got next on today's list for you is this. We're going to talk about care home staffing. Care home staffing is a scary one. I was reading a piece from Care Home Operators Association in which they were saying that there are apparently something like 122,000 vacancies in the care home industry for carers and for people to work in care homes. I don't know how true this is really. People always come up with this with all kinds of numbers. Here we go. Yeah, 122,000 vacancies is what care home people actually tell us. But the reality is, well, we don't know. I don't know, and I don't think anybody actually knows for sure how many real vacancies there are, or what the staffing situation really is, because it's a very spread out industry. But care home workers tend to earn on average between 16,500 and 18,500, which is under the government's figure of 25,000, which they need to be paid in order for care home workers to move to this country once we. What can we say to that one? All we can say to that one, I think, is that we need our government to do a bit of joined up thinking with care homes, because care homes, let's face it, I'm going to need one in the fullness of time. That may not be that soon coming, or may not be that late, but most of us, one way or another, end up in care. Where do we go with it? We need people to help us and to look after us and to help us see out our last days. And the reality is that with Brexit, i.e. foreign workers no longer be able to come over here and stuff, we are having problems. So this is one that I'd like to watch out for, really, and keep an eye on this care home thing, because we're looking. Hello, we've got someone actually watching live. Nice to see you. Good morning. So we've got that care home staff thing to keep a look at on. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, and this is only for rich TV producers, not me, skint TV producers, but rich TV producers and other people who are paid lots of money. Did you know that the government of the Barbados Islands are saying, or Bajan government is saying, that they may be able to give you a year's stay if you go over there to do your remote work, i.e. if you're isolated or working from home because of COVID-19, then you could go and stay there for a year and work. What a wonderful idea. Essentially, it's because there are no foreigners going there to visit, no tourists going there, and around 40% of their economy depends upon tourism. So it's really quite a scary one for a lot of smaller independent countries like Barbados. And they've suggested that remote workers could go and work in Barbados for a year for and get away with it, if you like. I don't know what the rules and regulations are as far as staying there is concerned, but it certainly looks like they'd welcome you to go and stay. Get in touch with the Barbados government if you really fancy it. So I like the idea. Okay, so that is kind of where we go to now from this show. We are about there from the, I see, done something silly. We're about there from my point of view. I hope you've enjoyed our chat and our natter this morning. I haven't seen many people out there, in fact, but it's one of those things that happens, I guess. Don't forget, you can now join our newsletter, which is going to be coming out every week from next week. All you need to do is get in touch with us, chris@homemadetv.co.uk, and I'll put you in the newsletter and we'll go from there. Okay, my name's Chris Gosling. This is Homemade TV Live on Friday morning, and we will, I sincerely hope, see you very soon. We'll be back on Wednesday next week and Friday, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, take care.